Breaking news here on Baltimore Ravens Rundown as the Baltimore Ravens could not come to terms on a long-term contract agreement with defensive lineman Justin Madubuike, and as a result have placed the franchise tag on Madubuike for the 2024 season. Let's start with the statement from Ravens GM Eric DeCosta moments ago. We were unable to agree on a contract extension with Justin before the deadline and will use the franchise tag. Justin is a great player in person, and we will continue to negotiate a long-term deal with him. So what does this mean for Baltimore? Let's start off with number one. Madubuike is now locked into a contract for the 2024 season that will pay him $22.1 million, a one-year deal just for this year with the franchise tag. Now, the Ravens do have to move some money around to make this work, as they currently have about $13 million in cap space at the moment. So you can expect over the coming days some cuts to be made, some contracts to be renegotiated to find this money for Madubuike as well as others when it comes to free agency next week and the draft and all of that. Now, the two sides have discussed a long-term deal. This was an ongoing negotiation over the last several weeks, and despite not getting a long-term deal done right now, doesn't mean that they're completely finished here. They will continue to have these talks among this negotiation until they can get a deal done. Now, the positive in all this, even though there's not a long-term deal done for Madubuike, is he is off the free agent market. We can pretty much guarantee that Madubuike will play for the Baltimore Ravens next year unless talks fall apart and he demands a trade of sorts and they decide to go that route. But at least he's not signing with another team and losing him for nothing, essentially. Now, I'll say this. I'll be honest. This is what I think we all expected. We thought that Madubuike would have some leverage coming off the best season of his career, that he would try to maximize every dollar he could in these negotiations, that they weren't going to get a deal done overnight. I still think the Ravens and Madubuike will get a long-term deal done. It might not be tomorrow necessarily, but I do think it will happen. He wants to be a Raven. The Ravens want him there. They made him their top priority. He was prioritized over Patrick Queen. They could have gone this route and tagged Patrick Queen, but ultimately they made a point, made it clear that Madubuike is their guy. So let's hear from you guys now. What is your one-word reaction to the Ravens franchise tagging Madubuike? I'll give you my one-word reaction coming up in a moment, but I want to hear from you guys first. Weigh in the comment section on our pinned comment today. Let us know what you think. Folks, this is why you subscribe to Ravens Rundown by Chat Sports. I just got back from a nice little vacay in Vegas, and we have a busy breaking news day. We're bringing you content like no one else is. We got our resources together to bring you this video as quick as we could here on the channel. For the latest happenings on your favorite team all off season long, we're talking free agency, trades, the draft, and more. Lock us in. Subscribe now to Ravens Rundown. Best part about it, absolutely 100% free. Subscribe now, youtube.com/RavensTV, and you'll be glad you did. My one-word reaction is predictable. I thought this was the most likely route, that Madubuike would use his leverage to try to get the best deal he can, and that the Ravens were not going to let him walk out of the building for next to nothing, or let him hit the open market and talk to other teams. Because if he were to hit the open market without the franchise tag, then there's a decent chance his market value, his price would have gone up even further and would have cost the Ravens even more money potentially to have to pay for him. For me, when choosing between Madubuike and Patrick Queen, this was an easy call to make, okay? You look at interior defensive linemen in the National Football League, and they are hard to come by. Guys that play at a high level that are just entering their prime like Madubuike is. While Patrick Queen's coming off the best season of his career, nobody's denying his talent level, but he's a lot easier to potentially replace than a guy like Madubuike is. And you may have already found Queen's replacement in Trenton Simpson in last year's draft. Madubuike, I think, is looking at about a 5-year, $55 million deal that he should get when it's all said and done, or 3-year, $55 million deal. For somebody that's coming off a second-team All-Pro selection, a Pro Bowler, and you talk about the impact. This is what I mean when you compare him to, let's say, Patrick Queen. He led this team in sacks last year with 13 sacks, okay? You can't replace that overnight. You're not going to find a better solution, another option out there at this position than Justin Madubuike, what he brings to the table. The last 4 seasons for Madubuike have been fantastic. He's gotten better and better each and every year. We mentioned 13 sacks this past season. The year prior to that, 5.5 sacks. The year prior to that, he had 2 sacks, 12 tackles for loss this year, 2 forced fumbles. Madubuike is just starting to come into his own and come into his prime in the National Football League. His grades from PFF this past season. Pass rush grade was phenomenal. 77.7, was solid when it came to run defense with a 65.6 grade. His overall grade at 75.1. You don't have to be a genius to look at these numbers and see that this was a solid year for Madubuike. Even the nerds, the analytic nerds, agree that Madubuike had a very good year in 2023. I think he's incredibly valuable, and that's the story for me. When I look at the 20-plus free agents that the Baltimore Ravens have, that they're trying to sort through and figure out who they're going to bring back and who they're not, nobody is more valuable to what the Baltimore Ravens need to do and to keep this defense at an elite level than Justin Madubuike is. It was vital to bring him back to this team in 2024. John Harbaugh said this a couple days ago about Madubuike. We really expect him to take off, and he and I have talked about it. We expect Justin to take it another level, and that's what he's been practicing to do, to be more consistent against the run, although he was good against the run last year. And let's start disrupting the pass a little bit, like you're seeing with the batted balls, and get a few sacks. So he looks good. Very determined. And I got to say, Eric DeCosta did an incredible job last offseason, right? And one of the things specifically was the Lamar Jackson situation. If you recall, the Ravens put the non-exclusive franchise tag on Lamar Jackson. We heard Lamar make his request, his trade request and all that. And what do you know? Within, just over a month stretch, Lamar Jackson went from the non-exclusive franchise tag to being the highest paid quarterback in the National Football League, and everybody was singing Kumbaya and everything was happy and okay. I believe in Eric DeCosta to get this deal done, to get Madubuike locked up long term, and for everybody to be happy and to have him back for this Ravens team for a very long time here. This is all going to sort itself out. Everything is going to be A-okay. Will Baltimore get a long-term deal done with Madubuike? Y for yes, N for no. I'm spamming Y for yes. I'm feeling pretty confident about this. He wants to be there. They want him there. Let me know what you think. Folks, thanks for joining us here on the channel for this breaking news edition of Ravens Rundown. Subscribe now. We got you covered all offseason long. Any more updates on this situation or what else is going on with your Baltimore Ravens, you know we're going to talk about. Subscribe now for free. We'll see you next time.